Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty. Those are the first 5 counts coming out of this jury, finding Donald J. Trump guilty on the first 5 felony counts. Reading the rest as we are getting it from our court reporters.
Starting with count 6.
Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. And you'll see on the screen we're tracking ahead. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21, guilty. Count 22, guilty. Count 23, guilty. Count 24, guilty. Count 25, guilty. Count 26, guilty. Count 27, we're seeing that on screen, guilty. Count 28, guilty. Those are the first 28 felony counts here as read by the jury. Count 29, guilty. Count 30, guilty. Count 31, guilty. Count 32, guilty. Count 33 and 34, guilty. That is Donald J. Trump, defendant in New York versus Donald Trump, found guilty on all 34 felony counts. That is the verdict here in this case.
Yay.
What a witch hunt, right?
Oh
Yeah, it was
my
such a witch
gosh.
hunt.
So today, we are so very thrilled to have our special guest, Zach Freeman, on, otherwise known as Concerned Parent in North Texas. Welcome, Zach.
Oh, hi.
Welcome, Zach. Yeah.
Oh, hi.
You also go by at Zach Runs Things on Twitter.
Yes,
Correct.
at Zach Runs
Yeah.
Things on Twitter.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is my handle. Yeah.
What's funny about this whole thing is, remember in the other case, the fraud case, he said it wasn't fair, it was rigged because there was no jury.
Mhm.
Remember that? And now he has a jury and he says it's rigged.
The only thing more rigged than not having a jury is having a
It's
jury.
having a jury. Exactly. And then he says they love him in New York, right? But also they hate him in New York.
He's going to
He can't
win
get
New
a fair
York.
trial.
He's going to win
Yeah,
New York. New York is
gonna win New York.
Magaland, but he can't get a fair trial
Exactly.
because it's Magaland.
Yeah, that works.
So,
That's
yeah.
exactly. So it's, it's never, nothing's ever going to be, he's always going to say it's rigged. He said the Emmys were rigged, for God's sakes. He said when he lost in the Iowa primary in 2016 to Ted Cruz, that was rigged. Everything is rigged that doesn't go his way.
He's the perpetual victim.
He's always,
always the victim. I mean, for somebody who's supposed to be such a strong leader and,
I know.
owning, I mean, it's
He's a big crybaby.
Well, he can't. He can't catch a break. That's the thing. Everybody he hires turns out to be a felon and it's some type of criminal. So then, they're the best when he hires them, but then
the worst, that they're
you gotta
morons.
fire them because they turned out to be another terrible hire.
Yeah.
Just everyone he surrounds himself with, criminals. He can't catch a break.
It's
Can't
crazy.
catch
I know.
Didn't get anything from his parents.
No, he inherited $400 million, but he's always a victim. Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
it kind of makes you question his judgment a little bit, though. You would wonder why it doesn't
A little bit
make the MAGA question his judgment. Like, that's the guy we want to have our classified documents in his bathroom, and that's the guy that we want to,
Well, he's got to unrig the system so that, if you're a billionaire it won't be
Yeah.
stacked against you like this. And I think
Yeah.
that's what
That's
he's
true.
working on.
That's true. All the businesses are leaving New York, from what I understand, because
Right. Nobody wants to
Donald
travel
Trump.
there. No one wants to
If
go
you can't
there.
commit crimes,
Yeah.
if you can't commit crimes there, it's unfair.
Why would you want to go? Why would you want to go? Especially if you're in the party of law and order.
Mhm.
Exactly.
You don't want to
And
go
family
anywhere where they
values.
prosecute crimes.
And family values, right? Remember?
Yes.
Because that case was about him having an affair with the porn star. Well, his wife had just had a baby and hiding it from the voters.
That is one of the weird things, is that he still in the trial was saying he didn't have the affair, but all of everyone accepts that happened. That's reality.
Well, yeah, that's why
So they hear him.
admit it.
They hear him
Yeah.
actively saying he didn't do something that we all know did happen.
Yes.
They don't go, he's lying right now. Somehow they just skip over that part.
He's the truth teller. They still say he's the truth teller. That's the only person they trust. They say that.
Yeah.
I was listening to that documentary about Hitler, and when he would talk to his, the Germans, and they would believe every word he said, even and this is a quote, even the most foolish things. And that's kind of what these people are. They're, they'll believe anything he says, even the most foolish things.
Right.
Well, even if he changes course from day to day, that is especially one of the interesting things, is when he can do a complete reversal, and they'll say, oh yeah, that's like recently with TikTok. Now he's on TikTok.
Yeah, now he loves TikTok
from China that was gonna, that we had to get rid of, and they were all very against it. And now he's on it, and they're like, look how many followers he got so quickly because he's so popular. And just yesterday, TikTok was the devil, and now it's great.
Well, they did a fundraiser for him.
Right.
Yeah, he got the CEO of TikTok is doing fundraisers for him. So of course, TikTok's great now. It's just like Bud Light.
That's the most logical explanation for it. You know what I mean? And it's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that the only defense that they could launch was Stormy's a slut, Michael Cohen is a liar, and
Michael Cohen, who was prosecuted while Trump was president. So Joe Biden really rigged that one.
Yeah.
He was put in prison.
Before he even decided to run, he rigged the system to prosecute Trump's attorney. That's next level. Honestly, that seems like you would want to vote for that guy if he can rig it. If he has that much power when he's not president. Wow.
Well, that's true.
Well, that's because Joe Biden was groomed by the Clinton cabal. So
is that what it is? Yeah.
What it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they? As a matter of fact, they raided Michael Cohen's house and got all the material that they prosecuted Donald Trump on in 2018.
Oh.
So
Trump rigged it against himself.
Yes, and that was the Bill Barr Justice Department.
Oh.
So yeah, none of it makes sense, and we can't even. It's no use trying to make sense or trying to explain this kind of things to MAGAs, because they're just not. You just can't. They're not gonna change their minds, their opinions. I've been debating them on Twitter occasionally. There's just no. They just don't want to listen to it. They live in their own reality. They live in well, I'm sorry, there's only one reality. They live in their own world where there is no reality.
It's at this point, it's got to be a bit of a sunk cost thing as well, right? They've already put so much of their mental energy and probably their monetary energy and towards this for them to be able to admit or see that he's taken them all for a ride would be even harder now than it was a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. Yeah, it would be.
Because they put their whole identity is being MAGA.
Because it's a cult. Because it's a cult.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who have truly groomed and cultivated the cult members, the Republican Party, showing up in cosplay, Trump cosplay at the courthouse.
Yeah. With the red ties.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think, but then it's not all of the Republicans are not MAGA. That's the thing that is almost crazier to me, is there's still a group of people. It seems like they keep getting peeled off a little bit at a time where they go, okay, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough. But there's a group of people who are just, I'm a lifelong Republican, so I'm going to vote Republican.
Yeah.
And it seems that's the other side of it, is that you have the whole right-wing media ecosystem that has to feed into that, the narrative that the Democrats are evil. They're trying to destroy America. They want to make your kids trans. They want to, whatever the thing is of the day that they want to do. And so then the people who are not fully sold on, they themselves might say, yeah, Trump, they'll probably say he exaggerates, or, all politicians lie, or, yeah, he's a businessman. All businessmen have failures, whatever. But they have to be able to buy into the idea that these Democrats are evil, or else they are going to be peeled off of this on top, the little layer on top of the MAGA layer. That MAGA layer is like the calcified hard bedrock that you build your house on.
But you are so right.
Can be worked with.
If you look at the polls, and the people in the primaries, they ask them at what percentage of the Republican base is MAGA, and they're getting like maybe 30-40%.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. There's a group, I don't know if it's a majority, but there's a large percentage of them that are just voting Republican because they hate Democrats, or they believe Democrats are evil for some reason, because they've been groomed since Newt Gingrich to believe Democrats are evil.
Right.
Yeah. So I grew up in East Texas. So, I mean, I saw that from when I was a kid, of, kids in middle school and high school already having this, I don't want to say a political identity, because I don't think it was that fully, but just thinking there's this like evil liberal thing that's happening in the world that they have to fight against. And I think that's where Trump fits in, regardless. That's why it doesn't matter what he does, because it's really just about, as long as they can be told, but Joe Biden is evil. Kamala Harris,
the Democrats,
Nancy Pelosi is evil. Like, to be able to make it where a crazy person breaks into Nancy Pelosi's house and assaults her husband and almost kills him, that they can spin that somehow that Nancy Pelosi is evil. That that's the takeaway from that. Her husband is gay.
And her husband is gay, and that was his lover.
Instead of that, we've taken insane people and made them commit violent acts with this ecosystem that we created of like propaganda. Instead, the takeaway is, oh, well, I don't really care what happened, but if something bad happened to Paul Pelosi, it's because Nancy Pelosi is evil, and that's the only takeaway. Anything else is lies being told to me. And I think those people are the ones that it's even, I can't.
That's interesting that you say that you were even in school as a child growing up here in Texas, that you knew that's all you heard was that there was this evil force out that was, I guess, the Democratic Party, or the evil force, the people that were pro-gay, pro-civil rights, trying to change the country. And you were the good people of Texas, the Republicans or the conservatives, were fighting back. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I think it was, I mean, the earliest that I can remember politics at all would be like Bill Clinton. And it was very much like the opposite of now, where it was like his moral failings are the failings of this entire political party. And that's why this party is evil and the downfall of the country. And we can never, no matter what else they do, that's probably because, if the economy is doing great, if everything else is doing great, they have to find something. And
it's got to be the culture
war. And so then now it's the switch of that of, somebody's personal life shouldn't matter. And it's just the inverse of where we have this very moral, I don't know his morals overall in his whole life, but very moral president relationship wise, Obama. And then same thing, it seems like, with Joe Biden. And so we have to switch that and say, well, it doesn't matter what how many divorces they've had, how many affairs they've had, whatever they've done in their private life doesn't matter. They're Republicans, so we don't care.
Well, right. It's always that moral conversion, that they're working. And, I'm up in Illinois, and honestly, I think that this party has been a cult even before Trump. It was the cult of Reagan for many, many years. And every single Republican that runs up here there's always the boogeyman, the Democratic boogeyman, whether it's Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and they have the, the most sinister like video, images of them, and like, just using these scare tactics and talking about how, they're destroying America and they're coming for your guns or whatever
I don't-
the
They've
whatever.
been coming for our guns since I was in high school. Again,
that's what I saw up here with the Republican messaging,
But I don't think it was a cult
vilification.
because I don't think it was a cult. I really don't at that time. I think there's been an authoritarian leaning to the Republican Party. They've always been kind of authoritarian.
Yeah.
And so they that's why they fall in line. Republicans fall in line.
Exactly. But what I'm saying was the figurehead before Trump, it was Reagan.
Yeah, that's true.
They've always
George W. Bush, they want to pretend
they've always held these guys up as though they're deity, right? It was like the Republican Jesus Reagan, and so I just feel like this has just been an ongoing modus operandi with the Republican Party.
That was bound to end badly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was inevitable, actually. If the first time, like a demagogue, somebody who didn't give a shit about the country,
right?
And it was easy to take over the Republican Party.
Extremely. That was what was crazy in watching that in 2016, as he just eliminated all the other primary candidates, and then this year, honestly, it seemed more inevitable, but it also seemed crazier when in 2020, I felt like it was an election between two unpopular candidates that were going into 2024. Both, like, one party has the incumbent status that I would understand. Okay, we're going to keep this guy because he won last time. He's the incumbent. We're following through. But the other party has a chance to say, let's get a newer, fresh person and get rid of all that baggage. And then they would have a better chance of winning. I think. I would think not that I would have wanted one of those other people, but I think they would have easily won, just with the messaging about Joe Biden's age and everything that they've been pushing for, it's been ramping up. It's the same thing they said in 2020, and they're saying it again, but more so. And I think if they would have had Nikki Haley or Ron DeSantis, I think they would have easily just been like, look, here's a young person who's also conservative. They could have trampled him. I don't think Ron DeSantis was a really bad candidate, turns out. I don't think. Maybe to us, I don't know. I feel like. No, he was a bad candidate. Like was he like just on a wave of, it seemed like, from my view of talking to, my friends who are very conservative, it seemed like when there was this big push from conservative media saying Ron DeSantis is the next guy, like, especially after January 6th, when it was like, oh, I think Trump might be done. It was like, they were all like, oh, Ron DeSantis. They were always talking up Ron DeSantis and how great he was. And then when Trump started saying Ron DeSantis sucks, which was like last year, all of a sudden my friends in person were saying, Ron DeSantis, I don't know. And I was like, man, I can see it. I can see the translation because I listen to conservative radio when I drive around to see just what they're saying. And I can see what I just have been hearing. And I can see you thinking that's your thought, but it's not. You literally, like, I'm hearing them providing you the messaging, and you've just done a 180 on this guy you've been telling me for 6 months was the guy, the next was the candidate in 2024 and was your hope for the party. And this is several people, not just like one point of data, and people that I know, not just somebody I saw on Twitter or whatever. These are people, real people that I talk to, where I'm like, do you not? And they don't. I ask them direct, and they're like, it's not what I'm hearing on the news. It's not that. It's not. They really liked him. I feel this way, and I'm like, it's so weird that you feel the same way as all the right-wing media is telling you to feel. It's so weird. But they're cultural conservatives that you're talking to, actual conservatives. I think like independents, people who are more moderate. Yeah. But Ron DeSantis is too dogmatic. He is just too. Like the whole "don't say gay," the kind of stuff that he's passed in Florida would not. I don't think it would fly with a lot of people. You're probably right. Trump is more wishy-washy on that stuff, and he just on gay rights and LGBT. He just spouts a bunch of talk, and doesn't answer the question, so you can read into it.
Exactly.
Right.
Plus
But
his abortion thing, 6 weeks abortion ban,
Yeah.
that would have killed him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and Zach,
And
no,
the
but
book bans.
yeah,
Yep,
no,
the book
but
banning. Yep.
and yeah, don't say gay. But Zach, I agree with you because I remember early on, Fox News was pushing out DeSantis
Yes.
early on. They
Of course
absolutely
they
were,
were.
and then
Yeah.
and then so I can see what you're
There was
saying.
a clear switch, right?
Yeah.
You could see that switch.
Yes.
Like they all got the memo. Hey, Trump said he's coming back. He is going to run. We got to back off on this DeSantis stuff and maybe even throw him under the bus.
Yeah.
And you could see Ron DeSantis did not see that coming. He was so confident going out there and just getting crushed.
Yeah.
And he was just so awkward everywhere. He just was. Say what you will about Donald Trump, but he's an entertainer. Okay.
That's the only.
That's his shtick. And he gets up there and he just goes off. Ron DeSantis just looked like he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be meeting people. He didn't want to touch them. And the whole putting finger things, that's just too weird.
I read his book and
Did you really?
Yes. He doesn't have he's not a controlling person. His stuff is very, I mean, like a lot of them, it's self-congratulatory, but it was very empty on saying like he's presenting facts, but then when a book doesn't have have
that's pretty much all right-wing books.
Yeah, there's no citations to back it up.
Yeah,
you're like, this must be full of facts. Zero pages of citations.
But is there any, puppy murdering or, gravel pits? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis didn't. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Nobody played baseball. He writes a lot about how he played baseball.
He did play baseball. I heard he was pretty good.
Little League. He writes about Little League, about about high school, about college. He was so good at baseball, you guys. It was great inclusion in his political book.
That was the highlight of his
and let me just say, so before we get into the great content that you create, I don't know if you want to play this this interview with Hannity, where Hannity's doing everything in his power to give Donald Trump an out for seeking retribution on his opponents.
Yeah, Donald Trump is on a tear. He thinks that, and everybody, and even his supporters, all the MAGA are out there saying how they're going to go after Obama now and Hillary. And so Sean Hannity, he's hearing this and he understands this is politically toxic for Donald Trump. And he asked him, I don't know if this shows all the times he asked him like 3 or 4 times. It was like when he asked him about being a dictator, and Donald Trump just cannot resist. I mean, he cannot just say, no, I'm not going to do that. Sean Hannity is really trying. He's begging him to just say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's silly.
Focus on those that want people to believe that you want retribution, that you will use the system of justice to go after your political enemies.
So, number one, they're wrong. It has to stop, because otherwise we're not going to have a country. Look, when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them. And it's easy because it's Joe Biden. And you see all the criminality, all of the money that's going into the family and him, all of this money from China, from Russia, from Ukraine. During one of the interviews, I said, what about the $3.5 million paid to the Biden family from the mayor of Moscow's wife? What about that? And Chris Wallace defended him, said, you can't ask that question. Well, then it turned out to be a big deal long after that debate. That was one of the debates. And it turned out to be a big deal. And Chris Wallace said, we can't go there because we don't know that it should turn out to be true.
Can I just say something about what he's talking about right there? First of all the things that he mentioned proved to be Russian propaganda, because that Smirnoff guy admitted that. So Donald Trump is just repeating Russian propaganda, the whole $3 million, all of that. So he's a Russian tool, and when he won't tell Sean Hannity what he's saying is, I'll go after them. It'll be easy pickings, or he'll just make up shit.
That's where I think what you said about DeSantis and how he presents things, and Trump, I think, is especially true here, where Ron DeSantis would probably say more straightforward, yes, I'm going to go after them. And here's why, because of blah, 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 blah. And Trump says, no, You can't do that because we can't have, then we wouldn't have a country. So then if you want to hear, oh, he's not seeking retribution, you can hear that. But then right after that, he says, but obviously if I did, it would be very easy because they're criminals, they're blah, blah, blah. So then he says that he's going to, but says, but he literally says he's not going to. And that's his first answer is like, no, of course not.
That's wrong.
And he makes it also on them where he says, no, we can't keep doing that because he's implying they're doing it to him.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing that. So I'm going to have to be the bigger person and stop this thing that only they are doing and I have nothing to do with. And also I could easily do it because they are criminals. And so he is very tricky in how he presents that information so that anybody can argue.
He's very devious.
You could argue he made any point you want right now. You could argue he clearly said he's not going to do it. You could argue he clearly said he is going to do it. And either way, you would have plenty of commentary there to make that argument. Because
you're absolutely right. But we all know he will. He will go up. We know he's going to be. He said it. He said, "I will be your vengeance. I will be your retribution." That's his whole campaign.
He already weaponized the DOJ. He weaponized the DOJ with Bill Barr suppressing the Mueller report. He weaponized the DOJ against Michael Cohen. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden.
On him.
Yeah, that backfired a little bit. I don't think what he did with Michael Cohen was really bad because when Michael Cohen was writing a book, remember he got out because of COVID. And so they put him back in prison because he was going to write a tell-all book about Trump. And so you want to talk about, freedom of speech and all of that. That is the government coming down on someone's freedom of speech. That is actual violation. Yeah.
So I want to shift gears a little bit here because, of course, I can't waste this opportunity having two proud citizens of the deep red state of Texas.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so of course, Zach, you are our concerned parent, and Anita and I became fans a long time ago of your content.
Yes, we
on
did.
Social media.
I have to say, yes.
So I did want to give an opportunity to play your latest video post and give you a chance to comment on this.
Oh, hi. I'm a concerned parent in North Texas, and my congresswoman, New York native Bethany Van Doink, is currently under attack by radical family values leftists who are calling her out just because she, a constantly furious, pseudo-Christian, sassy blonde emoji come to life, was caught having an affair with married Congressman Dick McDormand, who only has 7 kids and has been married for a mere 12 years. She's being called a homewrecker when his marriage is barely older than Greg Abbott's gubernatorial monarchy. And this divorce is going to psychologically damage a lot less kids than Greg Abbott's governorship. Quick to denounce the accusations and uphold the moral high ground, Bethany came out with a fiery response saying, "His marriage has been over for quite some time, as I understand it, which is absolutely not the kind of thing an emotionally callous and interpersonally clueless mistress would say." She added, "We are happily engaged in a relationship, and beyond that, it's a personal issue." Yeah, if there's one thing Christian conservatives have consistently fought for, it's allowing adults to make private, personal choices for themselves and their families. But really, grow up, people. Oh, Bethany and her married boyfriend claim to be family values Christians while making a mockery of the sanctity of marriage. Get over it. It's called hypocrisy. And the bottom line here is, all Van Doink and McDormand did was commit adultery, which is pretty roundly condemned in the Bible, but isn't even one of the top 6 things God really doesn't want anyone to do ever. And maybe if the woke libs hadn't stopped true patriots from forcing all public schools in Texas to display the 10 Commandments in every single classroom, Van Doink would have been more familiar with them, and this wouldn't have happened. Bottom line, Van Doink and McDormand were all but forced into this affair by Joe Brandon and the radical left taking God out of the schools. And they should both be lauded for the bravery they've shown, highlighting liberal depravity by boning each other.
That's true.
I love it. Oh my God,
true.
Zach, you are so funny. And you were telling me how you do this kind of like it appeals to more conservative people here in Texas because it's done in a way that kind of just, it's so funny, and the hypocrisy is so glaring, right?
Yeah, that's really what I'm shooting for there is, I think, this one is just next level to me. And this is my representative. Bethany Van Doink is my actual representative. And like I said, she's not from Texas. She's from New York. Like a lot of these over the top Republicans that we have in Texas right now, they're not Texans. They're people coming from somewhere else.
Chip Roy isn't from Texas. He's from Virginia, by the way. Okay, go ahead.
All of these, all the crazy ones. So they come here and I think, this, again, with the right-wing media says, oh, Texas, it's so red, it's so red. And so these people come here and they are crazier than Texans. And they get in these positions. But I mean, this one is just, the crazy part to me is it shows how now, so they get, this rumor that they're having an affair. And he files for divorce. And the rumor kind of gets a little bigger because he's filing for divorce. And instead of either denying it or saying nothing, which is what I think politicians used to do, pretend like they were not doing things, she just comes out and says, we're happily engaged in a relationship. As if that's totally like,
I know. What's
the big deal? And says his marriage has been over for a long time, as I understand it, which is just insane to me. That she's in the party that's saying all the traditional family values and the gays are ruining everything, and what are we going to tell our kids about all this progressive stuff? She's sleeping with a guy who's married and has 7 kids. She's not trying to be quiet about it either. She's just like, we're in a happy relationship and it's a private matter, and that's just
there's rules for thee and not for me. That's how they feel. That's what they feel like. Those rules are for the.
If this was a Democrat, this would just be,
oh my God,
like another example of how terrible and how immodest and
how
ungodly the liberals are. But for her, this is just get over it. Private matter is the one that got me like, it's a private matter. Okay, then is there anything else that is a private matter for other people?
Exactly.
Yeah, like whether or not we can control our own bodies, our reproductive rights, and
so they don't. Yeah, like you said, that's how I try to frame it in a way that someone who probably agrees with her politically could hear what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Not feel themselves attacked personally for agreeing with those policies, but understand that the person that they are choosing to represent their values does not represent their values.
It's really brilliant. I think the way you do it is really brilliant, Zach. And it's funny, but it sends a message and it's pretty clear. But like you said, it doesn't feel like it's an attack because everybody can laugh at that, right?
That's what I hope for, is that anybody can laugh at this specific thing, and I don't. It might not change their voting. I hope that over time they see that and it gives them a window into seeing, oh, hey, maybe my party is not.
Maybe they don't really believe that. Yeah.
Well,
and maybe people in this district will not vote for Beth Van Dyne after thinking about this and seeing what kind of a person she is.
Well, Ken Paxton also had his mistress in Austin. She has a mistress in Austin. Ken Paxton, who was toasting the end of Roe v. Wade with champagne at the Texas Capitol. He's got a mistress he pays for and all kinds. He's so corrupt. It's just insane.
And, those are the things I think also that the reason I even started putting like clips of things in there with little highlights to show that I'm not just making stuff up, because I think also, depending on where people get their news, if they don't hear about some of these things. And then even if they do, if you don't see evidence of it, they still think, oh, you're exaggerating, to say that she's having an affair. It just sounds like an exaggeration. She's having an affair with a married Republican conservative man with 7 kids.
Yes.
Who's now getting a divorce because of it. That sounds like, and she's openly claiming it. That sounds like, come on, no, she's not doing that. Like, nothing what happened? Is there a rumor? Or like, no, this is literally what's happening. I just hope that seeing that will actually.
Well, the Moms for Liberty lady, they got caught in a menage a trois type situation with the woman. And they're all,
Yep.
you know, banning books about gay people and
Yeah.
just insane. And then her husband was charged with rape. I mean, it's
Yeah, I just-
really,
Well, it's not lost on me that her name is Van Doink. That sounds kind of
yeah, that's pretty funny. What's
and
the other
then-
guy's name? Doormat?
Doormat.
Dick McDormand. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Doormat.
So
No, his
okay,
name
so-
is Rich McCormick, but I just
Oh, you
follow
call him
the
Doormat.
I just follow the Trump
Yeah.
the Trump angle of making a
Yeah.
nickname. Just whatever is the dumb thing that happens in my brain, I just
Mhm.
say, oh, that's it. So obviously Rich, and he had an affair. His name's Dick. So and then he's just
Now-
getting divorced because of his mistress. He's Dick McDormand. Yeah.
This episode of True Blue Politics is brought to you by Night Sky Woodworks, featuring gorgeous products like cutting boards, cheese and charcuterie boards, and a beautiful tea light holders, all crafted in their Chicago, Illinois wood shop, all of which have eye-catching designs and make the perfect complementary piece for any kitchen or living room. If you use TruBlu, that's TruBlu, at checkout on their Etsy shop, you get 10% off any order, which is a pretty great deal if you ask me. So go check out their in-stock designs today, or message your custom order request on their Etsy shop today by visiting etsy.com/shop/nightskywoodworks and use TruBlu at checkout for 10% off. That's etsy.com/shop/NITESKYE Woodworks and use code TruBlu, TruBlu at checkout for 10% off. Now, do any of your conservative friends or family ever talk to you about it? And do they kind of see that correlation that it's like, yeah, so it's like they want to be left alone and just, you know, like they're having their relationship and it's our private, you know, business or whatever, but not, can they, do you ever see them making that correlation?
Connection.
To that connection to
Yeah,
what?
I do. I mean, I talk to my conservative friends and family like most days, and we definitely argue a lot. But they don't. I haven't had anything in a video yet where they have been like, "Oh, come on, that's unfair," or like whatever. You know, they might say they probably would do like, it's usually more like whataboutism, like, yeah, but have you been to the grocery store? Or like, I don't care. You know, it usually they'll say mean tweets, and I'm like, I don't care about mean tweets. I've told them like, that's something that you guys made up that we don't care about, that you guys pretend that that's the only thing liberals were mad about when Trump was president.
Yeah.
We did
exactly.
not. That was like that was like just something we could easily highlight as how stupid he was. And they've made they've elevated that to be that's
the why we're really against him. It's the mean tweets. No.
Right. And so they'll come up with that. But at this point, they don't really say that as much because I've beat that to death. But it usually just comes down to whataboutism. But that's fine. I grew up in such a conservative place that I enjoy talking to conservative people and arguing with them without I don't think we don't get our feelings hurt or feel mad at each other. We can be like, you're so stupid. Both, in both directions. Like, I can't believe you would think that. That's so stupid. And obviously I know that I'm right and they're wrong. But
you are right, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. But I haven't had anybody, say, oh, in that video, like let's say that Bethany Van Doink one, be like, oh, well, that's not fair, or like, that's not right, or like, no, they'll just be like,
get angry at you
oh
about
man,
it,
that's
right?
crazy. Yeah, they don't get angry at me. They'll just be like, oh, that's crazy. But like, I don't necessarily think that means they're not going to vote for her. Like, I think they'll say, yeah, but it comes down to blah, 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 whatever. So it's usually just a moving goalpost is what I find. There's always a moving goalpost. So
why do you think you're a progressive? If you are a rare find in Texas, a white straight male from North Texas that's a progressive. What do you think? Why do you think that you became that way? Why do you think you are that way?
For me, it was growing up and seeing the hypocrisy of everybody, of my friends' parents. Not that there's anything wrong with divorce, but getting divorced, but being against being against gay people, and it was the same conversation about they're ruining the sanctity of marriage and blah. And I'm like, but aren't you on your third marriage and you're my youth pastor? I don't
Exactly.
understand. So in the Bible that we're reading,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jesus literally says that divorce
It's
is
adultery. Yeah.
and you're telling me that being gay is bad, but I don't see where does Jesus say that? But he
Mhm.
literally says that divorce is adultery,
Yes.
and you're not seeing
No.
that, or you think you're fine because you're you. And
Mhm.
it was just everything from
Too much hypocrisy.
yes,
Yeah.
from the religion to the politics was all about ostracizing people who didn't just agree with you. And I think there are a lot more progressive people in Texas than we hear about because people are so quiet. Just from making these videos, I have, neighbors and even people in the town that I don't know that see me walking around, and because Grapevine's not a huge town, and they'll
Mhm.
come up and be like, "Are you a concerned parent?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And they're always like, "Oh yeah, me too." And like people don't want to talk about it, and especially, I mean, people do want to talk about it if they're conservative. They love to
Sure.
talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
They think
Yeah.
they should be allowed to say whatever they want, and if they're not, then they're being silenced. But if you
They're
say
being canceled. Yeah.
yeah, they're being canceled. If you say something progressive or even just not conservative, then
Mhm.
you will be attacked and you will be
Yeah.
treated a different
Canceled.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think
Ask.
I don't know what made me progressive in general, but I think just growing up in such a homogenous area and seeing how mad these people were about people they'd never met and never interacted with. It was insane to be like, do you even know a black person? How are you saying anything about their lifestyle and their relationships and anything when you don't even know one and you don't know any gay people and you're
They saw it
so
on
mad?
TV. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Or
just
Fox News. That's how they show them on Fox News. They're
Yeah,
always doing
so
crime.
progressive.
So were your parents? What were your parents?
They are those rare independents, I would say, who are not they are like the swing voters. I think they're
Really?
yeah. They every election, I think they feel differently about different candidates, but I wouldn't call them conservative. I wouldn't call them especially progressive. They're just
Will they vote for a convicted felon?
no, I don't think they will vote for him. I know they won't.
Because I know
I did
people
have to
like
in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2016, I had to really talk my dad down from voting for him because I think in 2016 there was more of this. I hate the system, which is where I would
They
think
wanted
my parents,
this. Yeah, it was
my
new.
parents'
It was
fault.
new.
And my dad was people don't believe that these people exist, but my dad was like, Trump or Bernie are the people that I will vote for. These outside
Anti-establishment.
anti-establishment. And so I don't think it's so much about specific policies as much as saying fuck the system is where I think
Right. That's very privileged. That's a very privileged stance, though, because only a white Christian male can say that.
I think so.
It's
and
true.
Also,
It's
I think
true.
there's a lot of far left people that I know that say that too. And
Sure.
they
Yeah,
drive me
but
crazy.
they're privileged too.
They're privileged
Yes.
too.
Yes, you're right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
They
I'm
are.
not saying it's only the right
Yeah.
that does
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Obviously, I've seen some
I have
lefties.
those conversations with my far left friends too, where I'm like,
Sure.
are you
Yeah.
kidding me? I understand you're not thrilled with how the war is going in
Right.
Israel and Gaza. I get it.
Right.
But do you think that Donald Trump
It'll
is
be
going to
better
do
with
a better
Trump?
job
Yeah.
for what you want?
Mhm.
For what you're arguing about and what you're saying Joe Biden is failing at?
Yeah.
You think Trump will be an improvement? What are you talking about? So
Right.
Who's going to suffer the most? Who's
Yes.
going to suffer the most if Trump gets elected? It's going to be the Palestinians or the people, even Americans here trying to protest about
Yes.
that will not be allowed to protest. It's really scary. These people
Yeah.
that think, they're going to put the Gaza before their own country.
So, so getting back to, you guys make the great point about, like the independent voters, the, privileged voters on the left and the right who take their votes for granted. And so, I think it's fair to say that the goal leading into November is to make sure that people understand that their vote matters and that it very much will have consequences on where we go
Which brings us
in
to
the
Taylor
future.
Swift, who's registering voters, and that's why they hate her.
I'm a
She's
concerned
evil.
parent in North Texas, and I was just watching the Charlie Quirk show and thinking about how women have too much autonomy when I learned this from his big dumb face.
Taylor Swift, I think she put up one voter registration link and she registered millions and millions. And we're going to be like, oh, wow, where did all these young female voters come from?
It turns out that earlier this year, Taylor Swift, in a blatantly woke, anti-conservative, anti-Christian move, encouraged her fans to register to vote. Despicable. She did it through the nonpartisan, so they claim, but we know that anything that's not explicitly, angrily conservative is woke. Group vote.org. Apparently, more than 35,000 people registered to vote after she posted the link on Instagram. It's almost like a demonic force jumped out of her Instagram post and into people's bodies and caused them to do something truly devilish. Exercise their civic duty as citizens of the United States of America. Truly frightening stuff. I was thinking about how this was truly orchestrated by Satan herself when I found this.
Taylor Swift doesn't hide the fact that she includes occultic practices in her music and concert. Now they are following Taylor Swift to the center of the stage. Then they start circling her. This is by far one of the most obvious signs of an occultic ritual. This explains why at the beginning of Taylor Swift's video to her song Karma, as the record moves in circles, it releases magic into the atmosphere. The subliminal message behind this scene means that Taylor Swift involves ritual magic in her music.
That's right. Taylor Swift is releasing magic into the world that makes people register to vote. And in some extreme cases, it even gets those people who are now registered to actually go vote. And now, God help us, it's spreading. There's one thing God hates, it's voting. That's a biblical fact. Show me in the Bible where Jesus said you should go cast a ballot. Jesus casts out demons. He doesn't cast ballots. And that's why I'm begging all my fellow conservatives, stop. Stop defying God. Stop listening to the likes of billionaire. That's right, she's a billionaire now. Taylor Swift, a literal demoness. Stay home in 2024 and let the evil Swifties sell their souls in the ballot box. Let 2023 be the last time you defy God's will. Oh God, it's Taylor's version.
That was so brilliant. Oh my God. I just love that. I can't wait for everybody to hear that.
This is the thing. Also, like that guy is more over the top than I feel like I'm even being while I'm making satire. He sounds crazier than me, and he's being for real. And people are listening to him and being like, whoa.
That makes
the guy with the
sense.
magic.
The circle? That's demonic.
Wow.
And the magic, she's releasing magic that's making people register.
Oh
yeah,
my
that is
gosh.
insane. I mean, I'm not really about anything anymore, how crazy these people can get. They're saying Democrats are drinking the blood of children so that we can stay young. I mean, like Hillary Clinton, I don't think it's working, by the way. Hillary Clinton,
Oh, honey, take out the baby blood from the freezer.
adrenochrome. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
Seriously, they
absolutely
keep saying
candy.
it. They say all these people that are definitely looking old are drinking the baby's to stay young.
Well, that's my
Yeah.
secret. That's my fountain of youth.
Oh, I thought so. Some of us do it.
Joe Biden
Yeah.
should be doing that then.
Yeah,
That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
That's what he took before the State of the Union.
That's
Oh, now you know what?
oh my
God,
God.
Yeah,
You
that's
cracked it. You
exactly
cracked
it.
it. Yeah.
No.
So let me just we're kind of gonna wrap it up here, but Zach, first of all, congratulations on being a part of the 11 films?
11 films. Yeah.
11
yeah.
films? Yes.
Thank
That is
you.
so exciting. I was
somebody
oh my
just showed me that when it first came out, and I was
They're
like,
award
what are
winning.
you
Yeah.
talking about? And then won an award. I think because of that 1/2-second clip of me. I think that might be what put it over the edge.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And you've had some articles written about you too, I know.
Mhm.
In local
yeah.
media. Yep,
Yeah.
I saw that.
So
You're becoming quite the celebrity, aren't you?
Oh, I don't know about celebrity, but I do get recognized sometimes, like I said, where people ask me if I'm a concerned parent, and it's so far it hasn't been there. I haven't had any negative experiences with that.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
So on social media, where can we find you?
On Twitter or Instagram or TikTok as @ZachRunsThings.
That's ZACH.
Yep.
Right?
ZACH.
Yeah.
And if you just search Concerned Parent in North Texas as a hashtag on TikTok or Instagram, you should find it too.
Okay, and we will link to all of the places that people can
Awesome.
find
Thank you.
And I would just like to end with this. So, we're living through a very scary time, and not if, but when we get through it, I think that one of the things for me that will have made it a very extraordinary time will be the fact that voices like yours not only educated us, but were able to make us laugh
Yeah.
and help us, through all of it, because it is so easy to get, just depressed and, just distracted and just feel like completely hopeless. And so the fact that you put out such amazing content and help us kind of share, and then we share content to,
and then we think,
educate
oh, I'm not taking crazy pills.
and yeah, we're not so alone. And
Yeah.
and it really does do so much to help all of us stay in the fight. And so thank you so much for joining us. And we
Yes,
would
thank
love
you,
to,
Zach.
yeah, and we would love to have you back and have a larger conversation
Definitely.
about what's going on in Texas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I would like to do that too. And I appreciate it. Thank you for the kind words. That's all I know how to do is to make fun of things, because being earnest didn't seem to be helping me very much in my own life. So
Well, you're good at making fun of them.
I felt like I had to translate it into something to say how I feel about it all.
Absolutely.
You become a comedian. So, I mean, and you're very good at it. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the things
Keep it
that
up.
I've heard, it's like educate, don't annihilate. And I think that that is so important. And I think that the way you do what you do is very much, it's not tearing into people. It's just kind of pointing out the hypocrisy, as you said before. And so I imagine that in the future, there are going to be history books, and a part of the resistance, there's going to be like that little sub,
and there'll be
text that there's going to be
concerned parent.
concerned parent, because you really
Help
are
this
part
laugh.
of the, yes,
Yeah.
and you are a part of the resistance, and you are a part of, I think, going to go down in history. I honestly do. I really do.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And your kids can be proud.
absolutely.
Oh, I hope so.
They will.
They're proud of the grilled cheese sandwiches that I can make right now. So
Well,
they can be
yeah,
proud of me for
Mac-
being in the books. That would be right.
Can you
right
make mac and
after my
cheese for
grilled
them?
cheese sandwich skills. Oh, mac and cheese. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there you go.
important.
Gotta be good at making the mac and cheese, or you're just a
Yeah.
failure.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us.
Thank
Really
you, Zach.
appreciate it.
Okay.
Have a great
You
weekend.
guys.